Stay with me. We got pulled over for a busted tail light in the back. And the police just, he's covered. He killed my boyfriend. He's licensed. He's licensed to carry. He was trying to get out his ID and his wallet out and the officer just shot him in his arm.
The Louisiana State Police are investigating a shooting involving city marshals that killed a 6-year-old boy and then critically wounded his father.
Breaking news, a deadly shooting in Minnesota overnight involving a police officer, sparking outrage across the country.
Happening right now, hundreds of people are protesting in downtown Atlanta over deadly police shootings.
There's no police department! Drop whatever you have in your hand! If you come forward, you're gonna get shot, man!
Every 7 hours, an American citizen is killed by a police officer. 1,307 people suffered this horrific fate in 2015 alone. Funds for this government-sponsored murder come directly from the people's pocket, costing them $1.8 billion annually and making this a contentious matter in the eyes of the public. With this in mind, police brutality has sparked an impassioned public response, resulting in protests and riots across the country. These public protests demonstrate a developing public commonplace of lack of trust in the police. How is it that those meant to be the protectors of our country have come to be viewed as potential dangers?
Police can find their beginnings in the city watch, but these origins are much more intertwined with oppression and brutality than protecting and serving. The earliest full-time police forces were created in response to Southern slave rebellions as early as 1800, and Northern police departments were first formed to control immigrant gangs. These forces gradually changed with time and technology. Police have become much more professional, more efficient, and more militarized. The wars on drugs and terror granted police departments access to equipment that most officers are not trained to handle. But even before this, instances of police brutalizing and oppressing the rights of Americans can be found during the Civil Rights Movement.
Today, we still see police brutality as a rampant crisis in America. In July of 2014, Eric Garner resisted arrest on the grounds of allegedly selling illegal cigarettes and was placed in a chokehold. After crying out repeatedly that he couldn't breathe, Garner died. The next month, 18-year-old Michael Brown, a recent high school graduate, was shot 6 times, 5 of which were fired after Brown raised his hands to demonstrate that he was neither armed nor resisting. Later that year, a police officer trainee shot and killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice in response to a call about the boy waving around a plastic toy gun. Then, in 2015, a police officer shot Walter Scott in the back as he was running away from an altercation. Then, days after, 25-year-old Freddie Gray died after suffering 3 fractured vertebrae and a crushed vocal box.
Gray did not resist arrest, and when he asked for an inhaler, he did not receive it, nor did he receive immediate medical help for his injuries. Cases like these have sparked public protests over police conduct. They have also raised questions regarding their motives and brought light to racial tensions in America.
Turning to our community here, we can see how people view the issues surrounding police brutality.
In some cases, yes, when it comes to keeping the community safe and getting the drugs out the street, yes, but they do go overboard when it comes to profiling an individual. Not to say we're just going to say a black individual, but to go above and beyond the law.
I think that overall police do play a positive role in making sure that communities are safe for everybody in them. In some cases, you might find instances of police brutality, but as an impact of their net effect, I personally believe that police play a positive role.
Many people that I've known have been affected by police oppression. My brother was the one coming home one day. He just went home to go to the store. Next day he came back home. Yeah, they just stopped me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what happened? They said, oh, I look like this person. They just put me in cuffs. I'm like, oh.
As an individual, I don't feel affected because it has never happened to me. It has never happened to anybody that I know of at least. But it does make me worry about police in general and my interactions with them, my potential interactions with them in the future.
I don't feel safe whatsoever. I feel safe that they are here to try to protect us, but I don't feel safe around them, near them. No.
Ultimately, police brutality has brought into question how the police are using their power and whether they are within their jurisdiction. In order to answer this, we have to look at the police policies governing conduct in society today.
So are police actually following their policies or just running rampant amongst the community? According to the Lexington County Police Bureau in Massachusetts, the role of a police officer is to enforce the laws of society, maintain order in the community, protect life and property, and assist the public at large. There are many discrepancies in how an officer should handle situations. There is no perfect way to handle every situation, and it is impossible to prepare an officer for every situation that may arise while on duty. However, are departments taking the right measures to cut down on excessive violence? Officers are sworn into duty and must abide by certain restrictions that are posted by their respected regiments. But what happens when a criminal is actually carrying a weapon and harms an officer or other innocent people? There is a thin line as to whether or not it is appropriate for police to carry a loaded weapon. That is why officers are trusted to use correct means and utilize their power to its most effective and responsible manner. Therefore, policies are vague, and policemen are trusted to use reasonable judgment to handle a situation.
How has the public view of a police officer changed since its origin in the 1800s? Initially viewed as protectors of the community, police have more recently developed a negative connotation in this day and age due to some officers' misjudgment in their actions taken against citizens in the community. This issue has been further exaggerated with societal advances in technology and social media. Media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook have allowed the common individual to share their ideas and stories with the public, sparking instances of mass movements in many cases. For example, the Black Lives Matter movement arose on Twitter in 2013, enhancing the perceived bias that white police have towards people of color. In addition, there has been more focus on individualism through the turn of the 21st century, as people are more readily able to share their ideas with the public, with less pressure to adhere to the status quo. This could be the potential reason for more instances of rioting and mobbing regarding this matter, among others. Overall, the public view of policemen has been generalized due to publicized instances that have sparked immense public controversies surrounding the matter. All police are held accountable for their actions as a whole, while the public continue to ignore their many successes on an individual level. Until the public recognizes the risks associated with the job of policemen and the police force take appropriate actions to decrease the amount of violence in America, officers who abuse their power with excessive force will continue to tarnish the public's faith.